Remember our expectations and happiness at the approach of Christmas as a child? We dreamt of the toys we would unwrap, the sweets we would eat, and our eyes were filled with the sparkling light from the tree and other decorations. Then we climbed into bed after it was all over, only to think that it did not quite live up to our expectations. As adults, we have a greater means to obtain more happiness. Maybe we buy that boat and sell it later, only to repeat that old adage that the two greatest days in the life of a boat owner are the days that we buy it and sell it. Maybe we travel the world or the U.S., and then we are simply happy to be home. Maybe we dreamt of ultimate happiness in marriage, only to realize that marriage is a difficult vocation to fulfill, and admittedly, we have taken our spouse's love for granted. Or we gain wealth, invest it, and then fear the future loss of it. So, are you happy? If we can conceive of a greater happiness than we possess right now, it is proof that we are not happy. How many times have we sought happiness, obtained it, and then felt disappointed? The fact is that we are not perfectly happy, for life is full of disappointments and disillusionments that can drive us to become cynical and keep up the endless search, or it can make us religious, and we look beyond this world for eternal happiness. That's the prophet Jeremiah's point in the first reading. Where do we look for happiness? It is connected to where we put our trust. The prophet Jeremiah said, "Cursed is the one who trusts in human beings, who seeks his strength in the flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord." In other words, we cannot find happiness when we seek only pleasure after pleasure in earthly things that appeal to the cravings of the flesh for a limited time. The result, said Jeremiah, is that we become a barren bush in the desert that is dried up and dead, or we have no change of season. That is, our lives are bland and boring. We exist, he said, in a lava waste. Our surroundings feel like hardened and jagged rock, or our life is a salt and empty earth, meaning barren and fruitless. These vivid images remind us that without God as our source and center, we have no vitality and will just wither away. On the other hand, blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, said Jeremiah, as the source of life, truth, love, and happiness. For if we seek life, we cannot do it where death exists. If we want truth, we cannot find it where there is the possibility of error. If we desire love, then hate cannot also be present. And if we dream of happiness, it cannot later bring disappointment. This is why we seek God. We were created for the infinite. To accept anything less destroys our very nature. In the gospel, Jesus was greeted by hundreds of anxious people, looking for more out of life. They were not happy. He recited for them a condensed version of the Beatitudes, statements of what brings happiness. St. Ambrose pointed out that these 4 Beatitudes correspond to the 4 cardinal virtues of prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. Blessed are you who are poor. The poor practice temperance when they pass on the excessive pleasures of the world. They do not place their trust in wealth. They seek only what is necessary for life. Blessed are you who are now hungry. The hungry exhibit justice by giving both God and neighbor their due share. They give God thanks for what they have, and they give their neighbor what little they have, knowing how precious it really is. Blessed are you who are now weeping. Those who weep exercise prudence, as they discern what is truly good and leads to eternal life. In their sorrow they put aside the vanity of earthly things, and seek the one who does not disappoint. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude and insult you. Those hated by others display great fortitude when they continue on when they are persecuted. They are not worried about appearance. Rather, they pursue the good, namely God. He is worth every sacrifice. Jeremiah asked if we were rooted in something that brings lasting happiness. while Jesus' Beatitudes challenged his listeners to discover the true source of happiness. We were made for perfect happiness. No wonder everything short of God disappoints us. For St. John Paul II said, "People thirst for happiness. Christ has the answer to this desire, but he asks you to trust him."